Focused queer culture. The word focused queer culture, that's why we need it. Hey folk, welcome to This Podcast is Queer. Today we are talking about, well, the podcast.
Alright, so anyway, now that's out of the way.
That's the most awkward intro we'll ever have.
Adam, who are you?
Who am I?
So, let's start with our name and pronouns anyway.
Okay, well, I'm Adam. I use he, him pronouns.
And I'm Ethan. I also use he, him pronouns. And
we're both students.
Yeah.
I study law because I made bad choices.
And I study music tech because I make worse choices.
I mean,
I want no future. That's what my choice says. Yours says I want a future.
Oh, it does say I want a future. It just says I want a future, and everybody's going to assume that I'm quite smart when in actual fact I'm just kind of bullshitting my way through life.
How do you identify?
I identify as a transgender bisexual man who is... I wouldn't really say being poly is part of my identity, it's just an aspect of it. I don't really know. It's still something that's quite new to me, but I am polyamorous. I'm in multiple relationships, that's why I'm in a polyamorous relationship.
Would you say you identify as disabled?
Yes. I call myself a spoonie as an aspect of my identity because I have a chronic illness. Well, I have a nice collection of illness, just health issues in general, but I would say it's part of my identity, yeah. Would you?
I'd say more like, I don't really relate to my disabled part, because I don't really relate to that, because I don't have much diagnosis going on. But I relate to being neurodiverse.
Well, yeah. But I think, for me, right now, my physical disability has become more of an aspect of my identity, even in the last few months, just because I have the stick.
Yeah. I identify as a trans guy, and I'm heteroromantic. Not sure about sexuality. Think straight.
And
sorry, people.
Okay, that's valid. Labels aren't for everyone, and that's fine.
Yeah, but we both identify as queer, hence the name of the podcast.
You know, I actually struggled with that for a while. I remember going to an LGBT meeting for my city, and we were talking about whether queer is a good word, which we'll probably discuss at some point during this. And
we'll be discussing that in the next one.
What?
We'll be discussing that in the next one.
Okay, yeah. And I didn't want to identify as queer because I was still calling myself straight back then, so I was like, well, I'm a man, I'm a trans man, but I'm not queer. But now I'm a lot more comfortable self-identifying as queer.
I feel like my gender's the part that makes me queer.
Yeah.
But anyway, fun facts.
There's not that much that's fun about me personally.
What's your hobbies?
I like napping, and I watch a lot of Netflix and YouTube videos. I like watching Let's Plays, and I'm a cool uncle, and I like to watercolour paint. I wouldn't call my niece a hobby, though. She's more of a pastime.
I like napping, not with you though, on my own. I volunteer with young trans people and LGBT people, and yeah. Oh, I'm also 1 year on T almost in a couple of weeks.
6 months on T.
Yay.
I just had my third shot.
Anyway, so what the podcast is about. So in the podcast, we're going to be discussing queer identities and culture. And do you have anything to say about that?
We're going to explore a lot about queer identities, culture. We're going to go into depth more about actual individual identities, and we're going to talk about society and being queer in society.
We'll also be discussing society and what's it like being queer in society and living queer
life as a trans person or a gay person or just a queer person, however you identify. And it's I think that we should say now, because of that we are going to get guests on who identify as
because we're both white, and so we can't discuss like what's it like not being white in the community
Yeah,
of people
like-
of colour, which we know it's more difficult for, and we're both male passing, so
I think we both identify as like trans-binary male as well.
yeah, we're both very binary, so we can't really put our opinions on like other things as much. So we are going to get guests on who can talk about that a bit more, and
Yeah,
also
like-
teach us more about their situation.
Different identities, so that we have like a broad scope of
Yeah.
queers.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them might not identify as queer.
Yeah, so like not everyone identifies with the word queer, and we'll be discussing that in the next ones again.
Okay, we're also going to be talking about queer media.
Specifically Glee, probably.
Yeah, I need to catch up on it just so I can be at your level, because I gave up after season 3. Halfway through season 3. No, wait, halfway through season 4.
But also for like shows that have queer representation, good and bad. And
Yeah,
talking about
like, possibly we could look at queer media through history and how it's
Yeah.
developed.
Oh, Buffy.
Do I have to watch Buffy to be able to talk about it with you?
Yeah.
You want me to watch an entire series?
Yeah, you can watch it in about a week or less. I've watched it in less than a week before, the entire thing.
Yeah, probably. Oh, like cultural relevant topics.
Oh,
in
yeah,
queer
like
media,
current-
like we were just talking about.
And like current affairs that involve queerness and pop culture in general.
I'm gonna have to get a lot better at following the news for queer people. Oh, did you see the mermaid thing?
What moments?
That live stream that's raised like thousands and thousands of pounds for mermaids.
I haven't.
Oh, I'm gonna have to show you it, right? It's really exciting. They were live streaming for over 24 hours and they've raised a shit ton of money.
Oh.
He's raised like so much money and it's fantastic.
And we'll also be discussing disability and mental health. We both have like physical health conditions and mental health
Yeah.
conditions and neurodiverse issues, I guess.
Neurodiversity, the fact that both just
And we know they're both quite common, especially in the trans
Yeah.
community, but also LGBT
mental health
communities.
is a big like general.
Yeah. I also think disability needs to be discussed more within the LGBT
Yeah,
community.
this-
Like, there's so many things that aren't accessible within the
Yeah.
community. And then, so yeah, that's what we're going to be discussing. Probably some more.
We might develop a little bit more later on when
We've got
have,
a
like,
good 100 ideas of topics because we're both that sort of people. Don't know if we'll actually come to them, but yeah. And so we do welcome discussions on what we're talking about, and we would appreciate if we ever say anything that might be wrong to be corrected. Just let us know.
The queer community is constantly evolving and changing, and what's acceptable sometimes isn't always acceptable at other times, and it's good to have people checking in on us because, like we did say, we are both white and male passing people who are binary, and
Also, we're not experts.
we're not experts on everything. We're just two trans guys making a podcast.
Yes. And so, to sum that up, we're doing all these things. Yeah, and we're also, the podcast will be available on YouTube and Anchor, and hopefully some other places in the future, and we are currently setting up a Patreon account. So,
Great.
please support us.
Support queer content.
Yes.
So yeah, cool. Welcome to This Podcast is Queer.
Bye.
Like my sexuality.